Thanks so much for stopping by. This is Amy. Tonight I'm going to be doing a pink flower. I guess I really don't know a name for this. I just saw an inspiration on a greeting card that I saw. Now I'm going to be doing this pink flower hand-painted red wine glass. These are 20-ounce glasses. And it's just kind of a whimsical design. I'm going to paint using I'm making a mess over here too because I've just painted this glass, but using my Dynasty brushes. This is the 3/8, the Glass Art by Dynasty 3/8, and I guess the number 71 must be in the series the paints are in. And actually I'm not using that brush now. I'm going to also be using another Glass Art Dynasty brush, which is a 1/8 brush. And then I'm going to be using a liner brush. I just got a new liner brush. And this is a, I'm not going to be able to say it, number 1 7000 round brush. So I'm going to use it to put dots on my design. Tonight I am using the yellow ochre. These are all folk art enamel gloss paints. The fire engine or engine red, I always want to call it fire engine, but engine red. Yellow citron. Blush yellow, the fresh foliage, warm white, and magenta. Again, these are all folk art enamels. These are all gloss paints. Okay, so what I'm going to do to get started, and I just touched my glass on here. Sorry about that. I am going to start putting in the base for the flowers, and I'm going to start on this one with a little bit of red. Now, none of these are going to actually be identical because I am painting them by freehand, so just keep that in mind when you're painting, glassware off of there. When you're doing it by freehand, they aren't going to be identical. It's just not going to happen. So now I'm going to start out by doing the red. This is the fire engine red. And I'm going to come back in with some of the magenta over it. I'm just trying to do a little bit different styles of painting as opposed to just making them all like one stroke paint, because I mean, even that is not strictly one stroke. What I do is I do it a little bit differently. But I'm trying my hardest to do something different. Now this part of the flower is just going to be basically the back side of it. I'm just tapping in some paint here as I'm doing it. And if you ever start selling painted glassware, I mean, that's one thing you need to put on your site, is that no two will be identical because they are painted by freehand. And hopefully your customers will get it and understand why you're saying that. Because they just aren't. I mean, they're going to be different from the get-go. And they just, customers need to understand that you're not in it to try to make them look all the same. They'll be similar, especially once you get on to painting them, over and over and over. You will find that a lot of times they will look very similar, but they're just not going to be identical. Just not going to happen. Just not going to happen. So basically I'm just kind of, painting the base of the flower. you know, just one color on each side of the flower. So I did the red at the top and then the magenta in the bottom part. And then I'm just trying to add a little bit of contrast in it by, you know, tapping on a little bit of the, you know, the red over the white, because obviously the white and the red, when you mix them together, look like pink. I guess that's the tendency to have a pink flower. Put right down here. And then you can just go over it as you're painting. Now, doing the flowers this way, it's going to definitely be a thicker application of paint that you will find. So it should be pretty durable as far as using it for guests. I just want to tap in a little bit of red up here just to give some more dimension. And separation of flower petals. And maybe do a little bit more white on the bottom here. The only thing with doing it like this though is just to make sure that, you know, your paint is not too thick so that it doesn't bubble. Because thicker paint is more durable, as I've mentioned before, but then you also have to just be careful that you're not doing it too thick so that it bubbles. That's the main concern, you know, when you're painting glassware and then you're baking it. Another thing too, and like I said, I always like to try to mention this, is that you want to make sure that you are setting your glassware in a cold oven, and then you are preheating it, adding the preheat time to, now this is going to be my full flower, adding the preheat time to whatever the manufacturer recommends for your bake time. Now, like I said, we're doing the painted glass. A lot of times I have people ask me, well, how long do I bake it? Well, you know, as a glass painter, you really need to follow the recommendation of the manufacturer. And each glass paint is different. So that's something to consider as well. You really have to know what your glass paint requires. Some will be requiring you to bake it for you know, an hour, 35 minutes, 20 minutes. It just really varies depending on the glass paint. So when somebody asks me that, I have a tendency to be, well, you know, I'm not really sure, because you really do need to read what's on the packaging that you get and that you are following those directions. Now, not to say that once you get started in painting the glass, maybe you're going to find that you can make some changes to what they're asking you to do. But you just have to keep in mind that there's so many variations of paint on the market now, and even more and more as the glass painting definitely gets more popular. So you just really, because some require you to bake, some don't. You know, like this kind, folk art enamels, it actually makes your paint more durable if you bake it, but it's not a requirement. So you have to keep that in mind, that it's definitely not a requirement to bake it. It will cure within 21 days fully, and that just means that if the paint, you know, will dry to touch, and you can use it prior to that time frame. But I would strongly recommend hand washing it for sure if you're going to use it sooner than that. And then it also, my understanding, again, this is the stuff that I've read, is that the paint is more durable if it's baked in the oven. Not sure how true that is. That's just something I've read. So keep that in mind. That can make a difference in the durability of your paint, meaning that you may find that you need to hand wash it just to keep it looking nicely for you. And you know, I would recommend, yeah, you can put it in the top rack of your dishwasher. You can. Definitely not the bottom, because you will pull a glass out with no paint or part of the paint missing. I mean, that's going to be a guarantee. I can promise you that one. Treat them as fine china. If you're not sure exactly what that means fine china really has to be handled with care, love and care. You know, it's not something that is recommended to be put in a dishwasher. And if you treat fine china nicely, it will last you for a long time as well. But again, that's just some basis there for you to follow. Now this may take a little bit more time just to get it set, get the color variations the way you want them. You know, the distinction in the petals, that kind of thing. But it's really, again, it's your art, as I like to try to mention. So make it yours. I mean, if you're happy with the outcome of it and the way it looks, then it should be awesome. And if you feel you need to add some more white, make the contrast between the top layer and the bottom layer definitely different, go ahead and do that. And you can mix the paint in better than what I'm doing here right now, as far as blending it more. Or you can make it choppier if you want. I think these are just kind of fun little whimsical flowers. They're really not anything too difficult to do. And this I'm just going to touch in part of just part of the flower. Because this is my open flower, as I called it earlier. It's the one that's open. And it'll put a little bit more, put some red in here, more distinction. Like I said, they're just kind of fun. They're really not anything too difficult to paint. And you can make this bigger, smaller, however. Alright, so I have my side one, and then I'm going to go around and do one that's like partially open. And this one's going to kind of be, and I'm just kind of wiggling my brush a little bit. This is just kind of a ruffled edge flower. You can see this off. Trying to keep an eye on my video so that I'm making it where you can see it. I'm just kind of wiggling and touching and pulling. I guess that really anybody could do this style of painting that I'm doing. And this is something too where if you feel like you need to have a pattern to follow, it's okay. I mean, you can do that. You don't have to, do it freehand totally. I just prefer to do it freehand unless it's maybe just a different kind of a design and not a flower, because I'm better at doing flowers than I am really anything else. But that's what I like. that's probably why. At least that's what I'm going to stick with. Now, once you've baked your glass, just make sure that you pull it out once it has completely cooled down. Cooled down is what I should be saying. And the reason being is what causes glass to break a lot of times is the quick change in temperature. So we don't want it to do that. So I definitely recommend following that advice strongly. You don't want to spend all this time painting a beautiful flower or beautiful design, whatever design you're painting, and then have it be that at the last minute when you're almost done, you're in the home stretch, then it breaks. You don't want to do that. So I do strongly recommend, if you're going to bake your glassware, please follow that information. Definitely a cold oven. Add your bake time to your preheat time, and that's just to make sure that sorry about that the item is going to be baked long enough to cure the paint. And like I said, with the folk art enamels, you don't really have to bake them, but I do and have read that it does make them more durable, so I would highly recommend that. Now what I'm doing here is taking some of the fresh foliage and tapping it in, just kind of tapping it in here for the middle of the flower, because we're going to pretend, since this is kind of partially open, that you can see it. Again, it's just tapping in because the paint is still wet. I mean, if you want to let yours dry in between, you can. I don't. Rarely ever, unless I'm doing a backward or reverse painting. I say backward, but reverse painting type thing, I would then. But with this type of painting, no. And I'm always pretty much in a hurry, so that's kind of why I don't. But anyway, so I'm tapping in the center. I'm going to go around and I'm going to try to be really, really still with this and do my dots, because I'm not a big dot person. I mean, I love dots, but I'm not real good at them. And you could, if you don't want to be like specific with dots, you can just do, just some basic tapping and just kind of make it like you've tapped the center, and instead of literally doing dots. And that's fine too. Okay, and then I'm going to do some around this one here. Okay, so I'm just doing them like this right now just to try to get neater dots. And that's the Slow Brush Yellow. I'm going to go back in here with some yellow ochre. And you can put some, I was going to do the coffee bean brown, but I decided when I did my sample that I didn't want to. So I didn't. Okay, and then I'm going to go back on this one here. Do that around here. See, these are all pretty easy designs. I mean, really anybody could do it. House painting should be fun. Not something you get stressed out about. I think it's definitely a fun thing to have people over. And then get the glassware together. And they come home with something to remember you're gathering with. I'm trying to get paint on mine. It doesn't have to be real neat. You can see mine's not. dots to this one. Simple, simple, simple. Just kind of a fun summer design. Alright, so last but not least, what I'm going to do is come back through here and add in some little, I guess, vines, if you will. And on this, what I might do once I get done with the demo is actually go down and paint my stem, the green, just to complete this. But they're both not going to be the same. I'm going to tell you that right now. Alright, so we'll go through the middle, because remember this is the back of the flower. That's the back. And we can't see the face of it. And like I said, it's not dry, so I'm pulling some of the pink. That's alright. Because I'm going to go back over it with another color, just to add some fun to it. Very whimsical. And this design is not meant to be anything more than that. It's definitely not. But see where it would benefit just going down the stem. Now, you could leave it like this, where you're just purely doing the stems that are coming, from the flowers. Or if you thought maybe you wanted to add some more color to the glass, and like I did on the one that I just showed you beforehand, that's fine too. You know me, sometimes I get crazy with my leaves and my stems. Like, so I can pull that one over here where you're seeing this. I can go over this again once it's dry. Not a biggie. But what I was meaning from that is like pulling a stem, to give some color. And it can cross over here. Just making it like there's just more, not necessarily that that's the only thing it's going to. You can pull it out and have it end up over here. Just to give the glass itself a little bit more color up on the ball of it. Like I said, it's really not that difficult to do, especially with these brushes. I really haven't painted a lot of whole designs with this kind of brush, with the Dynasty brushes, but I really like them. Always have, especially for like one color painting. Now, if you're going to do went dark, but anyways, this is what I meant by finishing the base. I think it makes it look really cute. You can leave it plain at the base if you want, or do dots or a line around it with a liner, whatever you want. But there you go. And I did basically the same colors. Or I did the same colors, not basically. I did do the same colors, the two different colors of green on the stem. Anyways, until the next time, thanks for stopping by.